Former child safeguarding review has been announced by Greenwich Borough Council after the fatal stabbing of a 14-year-old on a bus in Woolwich. This week, 2 teenage boys were charged in connection with Kellyanne Bokassa's death. Last September, in the same area, another schoolboy, 15-year-old Jajon Campbell, was also stabbed to death. The 2 boys' mothers were brought together by anti-knife crime campaign Project Lifeline and spoke of their shared grief to Frankie McCamley.
I just look at her and I just thought, wow, you must be very strong woman. And I realized she has no choice. You have to be strong. And I thank God to have sent you
my strength is showing now.
Because I didn't know who to talk to when really I need that.
Knowing that Mary's going through exactly what I experienced, I was desperate to reach out to her in a way so that she knows she's not alone.
Kellyanne was taken into care at a young age.
He shouldn't have gone to care, but I accepted the judgment and thinking they could do better than me. Yes, I was a single mother. And yes, I was having a child who had difficulties, but he was a child.
She says those who promised to look after him failed.
He was let down. He can do whatever he wants and can get involved with whoever he wants.
Marie says Kellyanne was groomed in care. He joined a gang and got into drill music. Despite raising concerns, she says she was ignored.
I could see that he was angry. He couldn't cope anymore in care. He felt completely isolated. He felt he has to do something to save himself.
Jodie says she contacted the authorities about Dejourne. He was given a social worker, but believes she was never given the full picture.
That information wasn't shared with me until after his passing. Had I had known what was happening, I could have done more. I could have at least tried and do more for him. But they had all this information and they didn't share it.
It's an incredibly powerful thing to see you both together and helping each other. Is there something that you would like to say?
Instead of blaming the children for their own death on the streets, adults should start to open their eyes. No children should be blamed for his death.
Parents need to come together, communities need to come together, we all need to come together. Collaboration is the key word, and unity.
You're nodding, Marie.
Yeah, my son's death was preventable. And many children now, life can be saved.
As well as the criminal investigation, Greenwich Council says there will be a formal child safeguarding review into Kellyanne's death involving his family to prevent another tragedy like this happening again.
Well, joining us now is Mark Rodney, CEO of the organisation Project Lifeline, whose mission is to improve the lives of those seriously affected by serious youth violence. Welcome to you. Great to have you on the programme. Sadly, the start of another year blighted by yet another stabbing of a teenager in London. Are you seeing any progress on this issue at all?
No, I don't see any progress. And the reason why I say that is because most people know now that, the role that we play in and around London where knife crime is present. And nobody gets in touch with us to find out what the real issues are, what really needs to happen, the underlying issues that nobody actually sees within the families or on the streets with these young people. And more needs to be done in that area. There are things that need to be discussed with policymakers, local authorities that, can help to fight against knife crime. But too often, these people that sit in these positions are not willing to accept that the way that they're doing things are not working. We need to have new initiatives on the table. And whilst we work with these young people, day in, day out, that's where the answers are. We put these answers forward, but we never get any response back. And these are real life cases. Whilst some people, look at the statistics and, fill the data, for them 2 mothers to get on TV and be filmed on TV was a task to get them there to relive what they were going through. And I don't think anyone could actually imagine the pain of taking a mother to view her son. You know, I apologise if they're watching this to, you know, bring back the memories, but to view her son laying on a table to ID her son is one of the hardest things for anyone to do. And, you know, as someone that represents the community and that Pacific community, like, enough is enough. The pain is too much and we need to do more. And from my opinion, I believe that there's a dividing line that needs to be moved.
Okay, so tell us more about the solutions that you would like to see in place and who specifically needs to be involved to make that happen.
So, I mean, we've spoken to several people like Deputy Mayor Mopak, people like that, and to be honest, we've given them solutions. We've given them, you know, answers that we really want to try. The fight against knife crime is a collective fight for every parent, you know, everybody who has a duty of care. And there's minor things that are happening that I see every day. Like, for instance, I'm guilty of it. We keep using this word knife crime. Knives don't commit crimes, children do. And we have to bear in mind that every time we say knife crime, we're taking away the elements of addressing the real situation behind the child.
Yeah, so tell us about some of those solutions that you have shared with those in power.
So we have to look at the poverty side of, you know, children, and we have to look at the fear factors. I don't think anyone is actually addressing the fact that children are going to school with fear in them. You know, not every child that carries a knife because they want to go and use a knife. We have to be honest, some are carrying it because of fear factors. And many things play a part in that. But unless we actually get together and I can actually have the opportunity, which I've asked for many times before, to sit and deliberate with those people that can actually address our programmes, there's not a lot we can do.
Chris, as former policing minister, you were involved in this issue very heavily. What solutions did you see working? Is there a lack of joined up thinking, do you think?
Well, I mean, first of all, Mark, thank you for the work you're doing, particularly obviously being based in Croydon, and particularly in Croydon this week with the trial of Eliane Andam's killer. This sort of issue is like very much at the front of our minds in Croydon as well, of course, as across London as a whole. I think there's a few things that I'd started work on and I very much hope get continued. I mean, one is, I think, early intervention that Mark and I were talking about before is important. Quite often, the youngsters who end up involved in gangs and in knife crime, who may go on to injure or even kill somebody else, sometimes they can be identified much earlier. I'm talking about the age of maybe even 12, as young as that, before they get into the gang completely, to be put on a better path with things like mentoring schemes, which we were talking about Mark before.
Programs.
Exactly.
We have them, and we put them forward, you know, many times we've tried to, but the lack of engagement from local authority has to be dealt with. We need the attention. Like, this is people's children that are dying. They're actually human beings. So from some people's point of view, their statistics, their data, but I sat with those mothers and I could feel the pain. You know, especially Jodie Ann, who's gone through most of the process, but now Mary has to go through going and identifying her child not on a slab.
So one of the things I'm hoping will get carried forward is a project I was intending to fund in the Home Office. We were funding a pilot to work with local authorities to identify a number of young people at a young age who are at risk, and then do intensive interventions, like mentoring in particular, to try and put them onto a better path. So the 12-year-old who is heading in the wrong direction doesn't become a 17-year-old killer. I think that's one area. Another, of course, is just enforcement on the streets, making sure the police are there. So that when that 17-year-old who killed Eliane was walking down Wellesley Road on that morning on the 27th of September, if he'd been stopped, you know, the death could have been prevented as well. So we've got to do both of those things, I think.
Rupert, what do you want to see the government doing? We're hearing from Mark, he needs more support from central and local government.
Yeah, no, it is desperately sad. So early, as you said, in the new year, and every one death is one too many. I mean, policing is part of it. And we mentioned cuts to policing, but there's only so much you can police your way out of this. It's a wider, holistic thing, as you say, that kids shouldn't feel the need to carry a knife. We need to divert people away from criminality, all those.
You have to respect that some of it, you know, you have to identify some of it is fear.
Things like mental health, do you know what I mean? Youth hubs, people need places to go.
What we've done, we formed Project Lifeline for one purpose, to go into an area and find the root cause of knife crime. And if we go into that area and we find that some of those causes are systemic, we're going to bring it to light.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I mean, in the borough of Croydon, as we were just speaking outside, there is systemic issues. And, you know, if we don't get the intervention from higher than the local authority,
Okay.
we're always going to be hindered with our work going forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark, for bringing your thoughts and experiences to us. Thank you.